guys, I'm Ishaan and welcome to another episode of Pep Talks with Ishaan। और आज के एपिसोड में ना हम एक बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग बारे में बात करने वाले हैं और वो है एमबीए के बारे में। एमबीए का जो एक मेन एग्जाम होता है इंडिया के अंदर, कैट एग्जाम, इट इज टेकन बाय लैक्स ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स एवरी ईयर। और इसके आसपास मुझे बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, बहुत लोगों को इसके बारे में जानना होता है, बीट अबाउट कोचिंग, बीट अबाउट प्लेसमेंट्स, जॉब्स, इसका रेलेवेंस आज भी है या नहीं है। सो टू डिस्कस ऑल ऑफ इट and to understand about this deeply, I have a very, very interesting guest with me today, Mr. Pinkesh Shah। एंड आने वाले 20-30 मिनट के अंदर मेरा गोल एक ही होने वाला है कि जब आप इस एपिसोड से निकलो, व्हेन यू आर डन विद दिस पर्टिकुलर पॉडकास्ट, आपके सारे के सारे क्वेश्चंस अबाउट एमबीए, उसकी रेलेवेंस, अबाउट एवरीथिंग शुड बी क्लियर्ड। एंड अगर नहीं भी होते, इन केस द कमेंट सेक्शन इज ऑलवेज अवेलेबल फॉर यू। वी विल बी पर्सनली टेकिंग ऑल योर क्वेरीज। सो without any further ado, let me introduce our guest today. I saw your LinkedIn profile as well, Mr. Pinkesh. It was lovely. He's the founder and CEO of Delight Loop, an executive coach and a senior faculty at Institute of Product Leadership. It is great to have you today. And I just hope that our next 20-30 minutes, we are able to convey as much as possible from our end to all the MBA aspirants and all the students who are watching this particular episode. And I want to start with a very important question that is usually always in my comments whenever I make any video around MBA. And that is, do you think MBA is still relevant in India today? Because the point is, I look at, I understood about a stat that last time, I think in November 2024, 3.29 lakh students appeared for the CAT exam. And when I, saw the number of seats which are there in the tier one colleges of MBA, I think those were roughly around 1500 to 2000. Now, if we take the percentage, we all know it's very less. So, do you think it's still relevant? If I'm an MBA aspirant, I'm looking at this video, I'm preparing for, let's say, CAT 25 or CAT 26. Is the relevance still there?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Ishan. It's a pleasure to be here. I think you've asked a very sensitive question because there are two parts. Yeah.
Yeah.
First is it relevant? I don't think so, is the blunt answer, in the way the current MBAs are structured. And I say
Okay.
that because if you go back to our own history, when the whole MBA thing started, in fact, Harvard, the first MBA ever in this world was 1908. And the notion
Yeah.
of an MBA, Ishan, was managing people, factories, production hai. There's lots of processes to manage. So let's create this new breed of leaders called managers. And hence, to teach and to produce that skill, we created an MBA.
Yeah.
Now, 100 साल पहले, we had this different notion of management, managing people, managing material, managing factory outcome. In the digital age, 50, 60 years later, it actually evolved to managing projects, managing growth, managing business. And in my opinion, living in Silicon Valley now, and what I see, what's rapidly happening in US, but it's also going to happen in an AI first world, we're actually going to manage digital workers. So going from
Yeah.
managing physical resources, a new breed MBA leader, MBA business person has to now manage digital resources. So I say that it's not relevant today because MBA need is relevant, but the current structure of the MBA has not changed in 50 years.
Mm.
And so that
This
is
is actually very true. The syllabus, I think the structure, the syllabus, whatever it's taught, it's still, I think, a little outdated, I feel, as per the current time.
very outdated. And unfortunately, they're still teaching the same methods that industrial age mein, jo 100
Mm.
years ago, what was the need? That has still
आज भी वही
carried
है.
on. Some
Yeah.
cosmetic changes, right? Here and there, but the crux of it has to now flip it, right? And so to me,
Yeah.
that's why I feel the current MBA in the way it's being taught in the country in India, not relevant.
This also brings me to a very important part. We usually have this debate, degree versus skill. I know a lot of people in my network, I obviously can't name them. They have those, fancy degrees and everything. But I know a lot of people who do not have those degrees, but they are still performing a lot better than the people with degrees. And that is also, a debate that we usually have, degree versus skill. So what is like your opinion on this?
So I'll give you my own example. As a most recently, I was a chief product officer for a multi-billion-dollar company in
Okay.
Silicon Valley, listed on Nasdaq. For 20 years, before that, I was the global head of products at McAfee, another
Mm.
cybersecurity company. Uh, I don't have an MBA.
Oh, wow. I
So,
think this is
so,
surprising.
so here is and I'm not alone. Turns out that a
Mm.
third of Silicon Valley product leaders and business leaders and technology leaders actually don't have an MBA. And so I'm not saying you shouldn't have an MBA. A good MBA certainly adds credential value. It helps filtering criteria when somebody's shortlisting at the HR level, your resume, especially the early stage of your career. But to me, that's a byproduct, not the main thing. The main thing is
Yeah.
skills. I think what you just said, which is
Yeah.
demonstrate to me as a hiring manager that you have the ability to do the role that I'm hiring you for. Again, in the context of AI first world, digital first world. And by the way, every business is digital, Ishaan. It's not
Yeah.
just it's not just the technology companies who are looking for digital leaders. Every business is
Everybody is.
right. I mean, whether it's automotive or agriculture, whether it's consumer goods to consulting, everybody is digitally transformed. So skills to me is the most important thing. If you also
Mm.
get a degree with it, why not? But that's an add-on, right? So to me, degree is, it's one of those necessary versus sufficient,
Yeah.
right? And so to me, degree is not the real reason why somebody gets hired. It's the skill. But if you have
Yeah.
a good program that gives you both, why not?
This also, brings me to a very important point. I also went through a lot of different headlines that even though people are doing MBA in India or be it, somewhere else in the world, they are still not getting the jobs. A lot of people go for MBAs for, getting a job only. So my question is, why are they struggling? Is it still because of the degree versus skill part? Is it because of the outdated curriculum? And if it is, how should they overcome that struggle? Because it's very important. They are putting in a lot of investment, putting in a lot of time, and still they are not getting the desired results. So number one point is, why are they struggling? And number two, if they are, how should they overcome that particular struggle?
Yeah, it is a very sorry state of affairs, to be honest,
Exactly.
and not just in India, worldwide, in some sense,
Worldwide.
yeah, more so, because you get a lot of time, energy, and money
Mm.
invested into this 2 year, kind of sometimes full time, sometimes part time, but
Yeah.
nevertheless, it's a very significant opportunity cost. And at the end of that, the outcome is not very pleasant for most. So it is very sorry state of affairs, in my opinion.
Mm.
And we see this as hiring managers all the time. I think the crux of why that happens, and I'll get to your second question on what to do about it. The crux of
Yeah.
why that happens is because a lot of the assumptions is that if I show them that I can declare that I know these things, and proof point is the degree, the hiring manager should just hire me. But the
Yeah.
hiring manager is saying, hey, everybody is declaring all kinds of things. Thanks to AI building your resume, you have
Yeah.
all the keyword stuff into your CV. So what I need is demonstration of skills, not declaration of skills.
True. I think that is a very important statement.
Yeah. And so when somebody is failing to demonstrate that skills, degree will generally not go anywhere because that's just declaration and everybody's declaring all kinds of things, good or bad. So that's kind of the reason why people get stuck in this conundrum, right? The way to come out of it, in my opinion, is no matter what MBA you're pursuing and from where. Well, first of all, be choosy about the kind of MBA you do because you, in today's world, want to have a specialization upfront. You don't want to
Mhm.
do a general purpose MBA and kind of learn a little bit of everything so that you're not
Mm.
really capable of deep in anything. So, in my opinion,
Yeah.
that's a non-starter in today's world. But more importantly, uh, build a portfolio, build
Okay.
real projects, work on real startups, work on real companies if you can get through internships. There
Mm.
are a lot of industry integrated MBAs. I love those.
Okay.
Canada is a good example, for example, that you have to spend 6 months every year in a real company working, otherwise you can't graduate. So it's not about theory, it's about applying what you've
Practical. Yeah.
learned in a real world scenario, right? Now, in the context of India, at least the summers, if not full 6 months of working is kind of difficult because that's not the structure that India UGC system has here, but especially in the summers, you want to do at least 2 internships in a reputable place if you can. And when you now come out, your degree has a lot more meaning because you also have experience. And you have now, most importantly, like I said, demonstration of skills as opposed to declaration. For example, I teach at a lot of leading B schools around the world in US and in India, yeah, including IIMs. And what I'm particularly impressed about is the MBA in Technology Management program that the Institute of Product Leadership offers. I'm on their advisory council. I also teach in that program. And what I really like about this program is really 3 things, right? First, it's experiential in nature. It's following the Stanford experiential learning pedagogy, which means learn by doing, not learn by listening. That
Okay.
is a very big difference in the way we learn when we do things, we apply things immediately, as opposed to learn, and hopefully
I'm just listening.
someday we will apply it. By that someday never comes, by the way, and half of the things are evaporated, right? The second
True.
thing I like is a very curated, outcome-based curriculum. MBA in technology management, as the word suggests, is really for anyone who wants to build their career in the digital industry that we all live in now. And to combine the kind of technology and business and innovation together as a cross-functional leader. And so the curriculum is very, very focused, very, very outcome driven. There is no general purpose HR, general purpose finance, general purpose operations, because you're never going to use that as that particular career path. And the third that I really feel should be integrated in every MBA in this country is practitioner faculty ratio versus academicians. People who
Okay.
are doing things right now should be the one facilitating, should be the one kind of teaching, should be the one coaching, right? So those are kind of the reasons why I really like, and I'm associated with the Institute of Product Leadership's MBA in Technology Management program.
Okay, got it. I just have a very important question about the streams. So I am from commerce stream, and a lot of people generally associate MBA only and only with commerce. It's Masters of Business Administration. So a lot of my friends who were not from commerce, basically primarily from science background or engineering background, they are also now opting for MBA after their graduation. So, what is your view on that? And do you think it is going to help them a lot, or is there any course that can help them a lot?
I think every engineer, every science graduate, in my opinion, should learn business.
Okay.
Because if you really don't know how to apply
Mm.
the context of the customer, context of the business in your technology understanding, in your science, in your
Mhm.
scientific work, those are hobby projects. They don't add value for the
True.
society. They don't add value for the companies that you work for. So, in my opinion, it is almost a must that
It's must.
every engineer should pursue or at least think about building their business acumen contextually. And when I say that, I also want to caution for a lot of engineers when they do this general management MBA, they
Mhm.
almost think it's a reset, Ishaan, which means they forget all the things that they learned in that 4 years of engineering and now just become completely pure finance, pure business guy. And so it's a reset for them. I think that's a waste. 4 years of
Mhm.
engineering is now wasted because you're not going to pursue a career and instead start taking a job selling soaps somewhere. Not a great idea, right? So
Yeah.
instead, you want to kind of build your techno business capabilities, right? Leverage the technology that you've
Yeah.
learned for 4 years, leverage that engineering background, and now bring into a techno business leader. The curve and the graph of your growth is going to be exponentially higher,
Because those 4 years will also be utilized equally.
which is also being leveraged here. And so now you're kind of
Exactly.
having a cross-functional best of both worlds. And by the way, that's what the demand in the industry is. People are getting paid top dollars for those who understand both technology and business.
Yeah, true. Also, you also mentioned a very important point. They are getting top dollar. So I just want to know, let's say somebody is watching this video who is planning about an MBA, or let's say who is done with an MBA. What are the type of jobs that they are usually getting in the real market scenario?
Great question. The hottest careers which are paying the highest salaries, usually 60 to 70% more than the average MBA, by the way, are product managers,
Okay,
are
product managers,
project managers,
project managers.
are user experience designers, right?
Okay,
People
UI UX
who
design.
build
Yeah,
the UI, the UX of
yeah.
apps, of experience. And it's, by the way, it's not just software. How do you create a checkout line in a retail store is also experience,
Mm,
right? So
true.
a lot of people think UX is only just the technology, the software, the app, but it's also a lot more than that, right? So
Yeah.
applied data science and data analyst,
That
very,
is, I
very
think,
hot,
booming a lot.
very
Yeah.
hot right now. Business analyst, again, a very hot career, lots of jobs. A lot of IT services companies are hiring, a lot of automotive manufacturing companies are hiring. So I would say these are the 5 or 6 hottest career paths, which are seeing, very high starting salaries at 18 lakhs, Ishan.
Wow.
And within 1 or 2 years of experience, you're seeing 22, 24 lakhs at a minimum on an average. In an MNC, it probably goes up to about 30, 36 lakhs.
Lovely. There is one thing which is a trend these days is about AI, artificial intelligence. And even though it is a trend and people talk about it, we have DeepSeek, we have OpenAI, and we have all these things going around. The main fear in the mind of students is that AI will take our jobs. So, what do you think about AI and its relevance these days? How it will impact MBAs? Anything around that topic?
I get this question a lot, and having worked with AI now for last 4 or 5 years more extensively in Silicon Valley companies, living in the US, AI is like a day-to-day
Yeah.
breathing verb and vowel, if you will. Here's my response. AI will certainly take away some repetitive, low-end, mundane jobs. But the flip
Yes.
side is if you know AI, you will actually get a better job. So think about this from a different perspective, from a positive perspective. Whether AI will take my job or not should not be the thinking. If you learn AI, if you learn the applied AI, especially if not the data science and the algorithm and the mathematics and the coding side, you don't have to do that. You don't have to become a data scientist, but you should become a data science manager, an applied data analyst. And when you do that, you get a better job. So forget about losing jobs. You're actually going to get great growth when you embrace that.
So I think it's about the mindset shift. Rather than thinking that AI will take my job, how can I use AI to get a better job? That is
Absolutely.
the shift that we should be focusing upon. That is
Absolutely.
lovely. Now the main point is about the return on investment. Even before, anybody sees the placements of the college or they see the infrastructure of the college or the alumni, they mostly focus on the ROI, how much I'm paying and how much I will be getting after I'm done with my MBA. So, how do we judge that particular thing, MBA and the ROI, and how much importance should a student assign to it?
I, I think it's very important. Look, it's not just the student at an early stage of their career, it's a mid-career professional, including everybody needs to be looking at ROI. Otherwise, why spend the extra dollars if you're not going to get entertainment value is not the only thing, and degree just to hang on a wall to get bragging rights should not be the only thing, right? At the end of the day, it has to translate to dollars, it has to translate to additional rupees for me. The way I see ROI for MBA is really 3 different dimensions. And I think it's important for every student to evaluate all 3 dimensions and not get blindsided by one number or sometimes very marketing advertising type of numbers that we see a lot of companies use, or a lot of educational institutions use.
Hmm.
The first, why wait till the end of the program? Technically speaking, you should be making money with a paid internship while you're in the program.
Yes.
How valuable is the program if the program is not giving you skills that you can apply right there within that 2 year frame? So in my opinion, having a program that has an integrated internship that is paid is a must. Anything that does not give you a paid internship guarantee in the program, run away from it. Right? That's kind of my first blunt, advice from a milestone perspective, from a dimension perspective.
And in the MBA and technology management, that is included.
2 internships guaranteed paid.
Perfect. Wow.
And
Lovely.
these are companies from everything from large companies like Uber and Microsoft and Google and Flipkart all the way down to mid-size IT services companies, all the way down to startups. Depends on what the student prefers and based on where they want to super specialize, right? Uh, the second dimension is what happens when you graduate. What is that starting salary? We've seen in the last cohort that I've seen the numbers. They were average about 18 lakhs as your starting salary, and some will be at 12 lakhs, some will be at 16, some will be higher than 18, but I'd say about average about 18 lakhs. So that's the second milestone, second dimension. What am I going to do when I graduate, and how am I going to be appreciated in the market? But the third dimension is the most important one, Ishaan, that sometimes students don't factor in, which is how am I going to grow from that? A role like a product manager grows 45% every year from that point on. So over 4 years, if you look at the ROI, it's tremendous amount of trajectory because the new age skills are so high in demand that everybody gets promoted even before the cycle is over, before the appraisal is done. And so you have to also look at this, that the starting salary is important, but how fast are you growing? Because at the end of the day, sometimes in India, I've heard HR managers mention to me that the only way we promote people is when you have gray hair or no hair. And while it's a funny
It makes
comment,
sense.
yeah, and while it's a funny comment, it's actually true because time is a measurement of kind of promotion, and
Hmm.
it shouldn't be, right? It's your skill-based outcome and the output that you're generating. And so to me, the third
Okay.
dimension is probably the most important, which is how fast are you growing in that career path.
I think those were some great words and something that a lot of students should focus on. One more thing that I've noticed is that a lot of students ask me about the relevant skills in the industry, what they should be doing. So I always tell them, look from a company's point of view. So what is your take on this? Like if I'm an MBA graduate, I want to understand what is the company looking for in an MBA graduate so that I can build those skills and be job ready. So what do you think a company actually looks for?
Short answer, and I'll give you a longer one and more elaborate one. But the short answer is customer context,
Okay.
business context, innovation context.
Okay.
Any masters in business administration outcome, any business leader, if you have grasped the art and science of decision making using customer context, who's the customer, what's the problem they're trying to solve, what kind of solutions are the current alternatives to that problem, and so on and so forth, right? Second is the business context. If I build this product, if I build this service, how much money will I make? How much savings will I create for the customer? Overall, does it make financial sense, business sense, monetization, pricing, packaging, right? A lot of those decisions that one has to make. And the third is the innovation context. How can I use the best available open source technology, AI algorithms, whatever is available to kind of solve this problem faster at lower cost? And you need to have an understanding of innovation. What's happening, the
Yeah.
latest and greatest in the trend that I can use to lower down my cost for my end consumer, right? And so having these three things to me is like a must for every business graduate who comes out of an MBA program.
So, Mr. Pinkesh, one very important question, and I think the last question of this episode. One very important query that I always get from almost every student is that MBAs are generally very expensive, and a lot of people are taking loans for that, and they do not want to feel burdened by it. So, are there any scholarships available in MBA in technology management?
I'm glad you asked. And again, the cost of an MBA should be always weighed against the ROI,
Of course.
right? Because otherwise it makes no sense. And so
Yeah.
we talked about ROI earlier. But the good news about the MBA in technology management is that several Silicon Valley companies have actually not only recognized this program, but have been wanting to hire from this program. I am hiring, as soon as this cohort comes out, for sure. And so we've also, a lot of companies have
And
pledged.
sorry to interrupt, but I think it also guarantees 100% placements, right?
That is true. That is
That
the,
is great.
and I don't think that's going to be a problem. There's going to have more than one job offers, but there's so many
Yeah.
people wanting to hire that what
Yeah.
I've understood that only selective 45 people are going to be admitted to the first
Mm.
cohort. The need is much bigger than just the first 45 that are going to be selected. So I'm sure
Good
it's
to see the supply higher than the demand. Very
ab-
rare it happens.
absolutely. But the MacArthur Scholarship is again a good sign and a good proof point where companies are giving the grants. So about 50 lakhs of grants have been identified for this cohort, the one that's starting in early 2025, which will be given to students who are admitted to the program. They go through an additional assessment, but if you are eligible and if you are able to crack that assessment after you get admitted, you'll be now eligible for that free grant money that companies have given to the institute for this particular cohort. So absolutely scholarships are available, and I encourage people to try for it.
That is super beneficial for all of them.
Yeah.
Great. I think we had one of the most fruitful conversations that I have personally had in a very long time. I'm pretty sure that whatever discussions and whatever questions we have had in this particular podcast will help all the students watching this. I have also put, guys, I have put a very important link in the description about the MBA and Technology Management program. Do not forget to check it out. You have already heard us talking about it. The packages, the guaranteed internships, that do not one, two of them, and paid internships. We have talked about everything. If you want to know more details about it, I've put the link in the description. If you have any questions around what we have discussed or any questions around the course or the MBA in technology management, please feel free to comment. I will be more than happy to take all the questions. With this, I wrap up this particular episode. It was lovely to have you, Mr. Pinkesh. I think whatever we have discussed is just a gold mine for all the students watching this, and I really hope it helps them out.
Happy to be part of your amazing work of giving high quality advice to your subscribers, which is
Thanks a
really
lot.
very praiseworthy. And also feel free to use my LinkedIn profile. I'm happy to coach if anybody wants to reach out. Happy to do that. So thank you.
This is also very important. I'll also put your LinkedIn profile link in the description, and anybody who wants to reach out for the right guidance, he's
Happy
your guy.
happy to.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.